If you felt unseen, unheard, and unknown by your parents, you probably held on to those feelings growing up, and now you still feel unseen, unheard, and unknown in your workplace, friendships, and romantic relationships. You probably struggle to voice exactly why something doesn't feel right. So here is your ultimate guide to starting the path of overcoming childhood emotional neglect. I'm Danny Silves, helping you to stand up for yourself and heal from toxic people. Let's go. Get comfortable having emotions. I get it. You're like, oh, I want to click off this video. This is weird. Emotions, they're not bad, okay? They may feel bad and very uncomfortable because remember, when you tried to be emotionally soothed as a child, you were dismissed. So to protect yourself, you shut them down. You may experience dissociation, depersonalization, or derealization when you start to feel those emotions rising up. Your brain and your body has learned from a young age that feeling was a threat. Therefore, it protects you from feeling by activating numbness and shutting down. Emotions are good. They give us confirmation we are doing the right thing or that we need to change what we are doing. Emotions create action. That is their sole purpose, nothing more, nothing less. If there's a tiger down the street, you're going to feel a little bit scared, right? And you're going to have to run to safety. If someone steals something from you, you feel anger to fight back for what is lost. Now, if you don't let your body truly feel, you have no drive for action. You end up being disrespected, walked over, and unappreciated. And also, you can have big reactions to small situations. So, the more comfortable you become with feeling, the less the emotions that we don't really want to feel, well, they don't feel overwhelming anymore. Here's a backstory. I used to be extremely codependent years ago. If my partner was just 1 minute late coming home from work, I would be panicking. Is he alive? Is he in a car crash? And then every single minute that passed felt like an hour. And I could not distract my mind from this sheer panic. Looking back now, a bit cringy, makes me chuckle because that was really bad. But now I can reason with emotion. Let's say my partner is 10 minutes late. I might look at my watch and go, oh, might be the traffic. I may as well get started on the chores or the dinner so that we don't have to do those things later on, waiting for him to get home. With emotional comfortability, the sadness, the anger, the shame, and the guilt, they don't consume us for hours or days. We're going to stop ruminating, stop obsessing, and we simply, we may feel like crap from time to time, but we can still get on with our daily tasks. So that explains why you may feel stuck in a bad mood for days. You can't shake it. You may feel petrified to actually let yourself feel. What if I do feel? I'll cry and I will never stop. Now, I've been there. I understand why you would think that. Honestly, you may cry for a week, okay? You may sulk, you could be angry and then feel shame for another week. But keep riding those waves because the storm will pass eventually. This is quite simply emotional maturity. The ability to understand the emotion that we are feeling, why it's happening, where it's happening in our body, and let it run its course, because emotions will come and go faster when we allow them that time to just simply float past. Initially, let me be honest with you, sitting in your emotion feels very uncomfortable, but there is no other way but to fight through it. You are a warrior, you have been through so much that you can push on just a little teeny tiny bit more to get through it, and I believe in you. Some benefits of this is that you recognize your self-worth, meaning you stop letting people walk over you, people respect you, you can hold boundaries, you are respected for your worth at work, you can push yourself to achieve more, you can have high-value relationships with friends who are there for you and partners who care for you deeply. Be curious of why you feel a feeling. In those moments when we feel out of control, we reflect back and you think, why did I lash out? Why was I so sad just 5 minutes ago? Well, that's when you ask yourself, I'm curious, brain, why did I feel that feeling? What happened that made you respond with such emotion? Maybe your boss was rude. Did your friend forget your birthday? Did a new date ghost you? And yeah, it's normal to feel annoyed and sad when these things happen. But why did you feel them so strongly? Did that ghosting tap into emotional loneliness that you experienced from your parents? Did your rude boss remind you of an older sibling that bullied you? Did your friends make you feel unworthy just like your parents did? There is always a link explanation. You just have to ask yourself what that is. Anger isn't the only emotion. An emotionally healthy person feels all the feelings. You may be like, Danny babes, I feel anger, I have emotions, but anger is the most acceptable emotion to have. It's almost okay to see someone angry in public than it is to see them burst into tears, right? Anger is a second emotion, which means your body feels anger to create massive action if the first emotion that you felt was not resolved. Let's say you were sad that you were ghosted. If you don't know how to control that sadness and feel it in your body, that quickly turns to anger, and then you may find yourself sending a hurtful text. I never liked you anyway, and also you've got stupid hair. Surround yourself with emotionally healthy people. People who don't mistake your sadness for weakness, and that includes partners. If someone has told you, ew, I got the ick because you showed vulnerability and emotions, well, excuse my French, they were emotionally dysregulated themselves and, dare we say, a little bit toxic. You may realise you aren't surrounded with any emotionally healthy people, and that's going to feel pretty lonely, but it's better for you to be alone and growing than it is to be surrounded by people that hold you back. And if you have to start your healing journey on your own, believe me when I say you can do this alone and you are capable of doing this. When I started healing my childhood emotional neglect, I realised I had zero emotionally healthy people around me. No friends, no family, completely on my own. But fast forwards 8 years later and I have the most amazing, supportive people in my life and I have never been happier. Continue to learn about childhood emotional neglect. Educate yourself on what this is, why it happens, so that you don't feel that you did something wrong. Plus, it's validating to know that you simply were just a child, living your life, not realizing the emotional limitations your parents had. You were shut down and punished if you were upset or angry. Why? Because your parents were so emotionally dysregulated themselves and preoccupied with their own emotions, they didn't notice when they needed to be a parent for you. So when you can comfortably sit down with your emotions, you can describe what emotion you feel, where you feel it in your body, you start to learn about emotional neglect and uncover what happened to you. And that healing process excels rapidly. And you can look at your past with an acceptance mindset, not forgiveness. You simply think, wow, my upbringing sucked because of what my parents were dealing with. So I grew up quickly and alone, and I had to reparent myself later on in life. Now that mindset means you have accepted things were not okay, but you are ready to heal. Daily check-ins every day without failure, at least once a day. Ask yourself, where do I feel this emotion in my body? Madness, I know. I remember being in therapy and my therapist said, what are you feeling right now? Where do you feel it in your body? And my response was, I don't know. I really don't feel anything. Maybe a little bit of lower back pain. To which she said, well, that's anger or irritation. And I was like, yeah, you're right, you crazy witch lady, you are right. Turns out your body can feel an emotion even if you can't describe it. And I'm going to do a YouTube short series of daily emotional check-ins explaining the body's sensation to a certain emotion so you can start to feel and name that emotion, which I'll then come back and add the links to the description of this video. So make sure you have subscribed and notifications are turned on for when that drops. Eventually, being able to describe an emotion and why it happened provides so much emotional intelligence that it quickens healing from extreme pain. Now you have to do this daily, and for the first week, maybe even the first month, you will still feel numb, but keep at it, because remember, you've spent all of your life denying yourself of emotions, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. That wall you've built is so strong and very high, but with each daily check-in, you are slowly putting your pickaxe into the wall, and eventually you will break through.